Welcome everybody to a middle of the playoffs Friday edition of MLB Full Count, brought to you by SportsMemo. We're gonna do our best to break down the two playoff games that will still start after the show, as well as give some thoughts on the rest of the series this weekend and some thoughts about the game that's already over and the game that's in play right now. I'm sure one of our guests especially is going to be very interested to be watching while he is giving us his insight. And we're going to bring you all our best bets for tonight or the weekend for this wonderful playoff. I love the baseball playoffs. This is akin in my house to those first couple of days of March Madness. I'm not going to lie to you. And I am joined today by a couple of Sports Memo's greatest, DK and KT, Dan Kaiser, Kevin Thomas, all of us over here in the Midwest to Midwest East. How you guys doing today? How you doing, Dan?
Doing good. Got to start out with the win with Cleveland. So
right.
That's a good way to start. I kind of disagree with this as the same level as March Madness, but
yeah,
it's close. It's close.
I know. I'm a little bit of a weirdo with baseball. KT, your boys put up a run yet?
No. I'm watching NL Central, so I'm watching the Indians, the Guardians celebrate. But then on the bottom, it shows. Apparently, my wife did away with. We have like all internet shows now, like Hulu, Sling, and Peacock, and all that. I can't find the Phillies. I've been looking for the past 45 minutes to hour, so I just put on NL Central. I'll find it after we get off the show here, but I can see that it's 0-0.
Yeah, 0-0. It's already looking. It sounds like Dan had the Guardians, which we'll discuss a little bit about what form you need to be in when you approach the playoffs, Tampa Bay. But hope nobody put any hard-earned cash on the Grand Salami over today, because I don't know what's going to happen at night, but it's not looking too good. The games we're going to talk about have low totals. I love these low total games with 6s and 7s. We're not going to discuss at length the Rays and Guardians, but Dan brought it up. The MVP in the hearts and minds of everyone around me is J-Ram, and he hit a 2-run dinger off of McClanahan to get that win today, game 1. Nobody limped into the playoffs more than the Rays, not even the Phillies. And, it's just not something, they had 3 hits today. Shane Bieber completely shut them down. Luckily, we're going to discuss in the first game we talk about, and we'll discuss the Phillies and Cardinals as they go on. It is 0-0, top of the 4th here. My clients know that our top play of the day so far is Phillies first 5 behind Wheeler. But yeah, the first matchup that we're going to discuss comes on not too long after the show airs here, is the Mariners going into Toronto, have a potential bet 2 out of 3 in Toronto. The 2 hottest teams entering the playoffs just the last 2 weeks. Blue Jays 8-3, Mariners 8-4. Most people know I'm on the show a lot. I am obsessed with starting pitching, the analytics, the metrics of starting pitching. And there's a lot of guys, if you just break down since the All-Star break, the leaders in F-WAR, there's going to be a lot of guys that you're going to recognize the names of. 2 of the top 20 since the break face off tonight. Luis Castillo from my Reds at a trade deadline dump is taking on Alek Manoah, who they're both can be strikeout machines. We got a total of 7. Blue Jays are going to be favored. Obviously, that daunting lineup, but the Mariners are a young, scrappy team. I'm going to go to you first, Dan, and see if you have an angle on the side or total or where you're looking for just in general the whole landscape.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm with you. I do most of my stuff on the pitching matchups and the pitchers. I don't go as far in depth probably as you do, but yeah, I think I think both these games are probably that we're covering could be the best 2 series that we've got going in the wild card. And tonight's matchup, it's definitely I think it's going to be a pitcher's duel. Luis Castillo, 2.99 ERA, and Manoah comes in at 16-7 with a 2.24 ERA. Interesting, Seattle was 7-3 in the last 10 against Toronto. They won the season series 5-2. It's the first time they're in the playoffs in 21 years. A young squad coming into this. Pitching is good. They're 3.59 ERAs overall pitching is eighth. They got a 1.19 whip, which is also eighth in the league. So really good starting pitching, good young lineup. And Toronto's still is good on the mound. Also 3.87 ERA as a team, which is 15th in the league, and the 1.23 whip, which is 11th. I guess why I'm looking at this is more. I know they're both young teams, but more experience. One is experience. Toronto were in the playoffs recently, so they got a little bit of experience on that, even though they didn't go far. Also, you know, as you can see in the Cleveland game, it comes down to pitching and power, and I like up and down Toronto's lineup going into the season. I thought, you know, they'd be able to hit their way out of anything. So I'm looking at this game. To be honest, I've got a premium play on both the side and the total in this one, so I really don't have much to say on that. But I do lean the Blue Jays based on experience and their power to take this series. Whether tonight's the first game they take or not, but they'll take 2 out of 3 at home in this series.
Yeah, fantastic. So you heard it here that Dan's got plays. You got to go over if you want to get me and Kevin may disagree, but we're not going to want to have disagreed with a premium play from Dan Kaiser. So let's get over to so you know, from Ohio here, you know, Dan's up in Michigan. A lot of the Guardians fans, knowing that they had made the playoffs a while back, were a little bit nervous about Mariners playing their way into that series. Mariners were 6-1 against the Guardians this season, 5-2 against the Blue Jays though. So maybe the Mariners aren't scared of anything. Guardians definitely got the matchup. Everybody wanted the Rays. So what does Kevin think? I know he is a Blue Jays guy. He's either going to have an angle on the Blue Jays or he's going to know not to back them. And what do you think this is going to look like in Game 1?
I do have a premium play on this game as well on the money line, but you know, I'm looking at the Mariners and with Luis Castillo on the mound, I'm looking at the Cincinnati Reds pretty much if Winker's in the lineup, but we know he's out for today's game. So these Mariners, though, I mean, they were money. They're like the Orioles, you know, they were money this season. But my thing is, Luis Castillo, how's he going to do on the road? I mean, he's 2-2 on the road this season since being with the Mariners. But going to Toronto and playing is a whole nother thing. That is going to be so electric there. And, you know, he's going against a rookie, Alek Mona. The kid is one of the top 5 in ERA in the league, in the American League. This total's set at 7, but, I mean, look at both the batting averages for these teams. 230 for the Mariners and almost 264 for the Blue Jays. This Blue Jays, that's a murderer's row lineup there. I mean, how do you pitch against them? Their ninth hitter is Whitfield, and he's been killing it. He's hit 11 of the last 19 at bats. He's got 11 hits, and he's their 9th batter. I know the Mariners bullpen is ranked 7th overall. Toronto, not as good. I think they're ranked like 14th in the league. If I'm going to bet, I'm betting the over here, the over 7. You got a rookie on the mound. This is going to be so much electricity. I mean, he's going to be overjuiced for this. And the Mariners, I think they can hang here. It's going to go over 7. I just have a good feeling that 7. I know historically you take the under in every playoff wild card game because you get a starter coming in off the bench. I mean, look at the Cardinals. They had 2 starters ready to go for that game today if there's any struggles there. So I like the over 7 just because it's being played out there in Toronto. You got a rookie and just the bats of Toronto. It's going over 7. It has to.
So Kevin is saying that it's going over 7. He also has a premium play on this game. So don't forget to get over there to SportsMemo. There's going to be discounts scrolling across the bottom. Get $10 off using code MEMO or Memo 10. You can get that on anybody. And you know, both these guys have given you a little bit of an opinion. They have an even more extensive opinion on a premium play. And like Kevin said, you know, nowadays, I mean, sure, these first 2 games are really run, you know, vacant. But 3, you know, Kevin gets into an accidental 3-3 game he can't lose. And so, you know, that's not a whole lot of runs to score here. So, all right, Kevin, where are we at here? What's the score of the Phillies game?
I'm not even seeing it. Are they showing it?
Still 0-0.
Don't even
All right.
tell me. Don't even tell me. Don't even tell me. I'm
Nope.
looking at the little bar rolling on my TV screen. And
Yeah,
tell
still
me it's the
nothing.
Mets.
All right, so let's move on to tonight's game. Dan said this might be the other most competitive series. A couple of other teams, they weren't nearly as streaking to the finish as the Mariners and Blue Jays, but they kind of had their spots in the playoffs solidified a long time ago, even though the Mets fumbled down the stretch, whether or not that was all their fault or more just the fact that the champs went about 80-30 down the stretch. The Mets are putting Mad Max out there in Citi Field, and he gets to face Yu Darvish. Juan Soto obviously knows facing the NL East very well. I'm going to start off with Kevin this time and see if he has an idea. The Mets favored and a nice low total of 6 like we had in that noon game today.
Yeah, I mean, I was on with Ross Benjamin. He asked me if he thought the Mets winning the series was a good bet, and back then I thought it was, but I'm not so sure. I mean, I told him I took against the Mets again for the Braves because Marta was out. He's back. He's playing, so that's a huge boost. I mean, his glove, but his hitting, he's one of I like the way he hits the small ball and stuff. But Max Scherzer, I don't know. Last time he pitched against Padres, he went 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 8 Ks. That's pretty good. But Yo Darvish, man, he's owned the Mets this season. 14 innings pitched, 6 hits, 1 earned run, 15 Ks. I don't know. If he can't get it done at home in this game, they're done. That's what I was telling all my Phillies friends. Wheeler's on the mound. If he cannot win this game, Cardinals win. They're done because everyone knows he's their number one player. When Bryce Harper is 100% healthy, he's probably the number one player, but Wheeler is the number one player when Harper is playing the way he is. But for the Padres, I mean, Yu Darvish, I mean, he's quietly had one of the best seasons of his career. I know back in the day, everyone said about him tipping pitches sometimes. Whatever he figured it out. He's been pretty much lights out, and especially against the Mets. So this game one, I'm looking at the Padres here. I just think they can get it. It would be an under for sure with these two pitchers, but I think at the home field in Darvish, I think it's like a 2-1, 3-1 kind of game, like we kind of seen with the Guardians earlier.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on a lot of those aspects. I know Dan has a couple of thoughts just in general for the game, as well as his best bet. The one thing I will say is I brought up the pitchers, specifically second half, specifically the way I approach it, which is like FIP, XFIP, F-WAR, things like that. And you mentioned that the Padres probably need to win with Darvish on the mound. Well, maybe. But as far as I look at it, guess who the number one pitcher since the break is in F-WAR in the entire major leagues? It's Blake Snell. He's going tomorrow. I think the Mets know that if they can, I mean, they might even, I don't know what they're doing with DeGrom, and they haven't announced to start it tomorrow, so I don't know what the situation is. But if the Mets are hitting, they're actually hitting pretty well. They're just not winning. But they don't want to be down 0-1 in an elimination game with Blake Snell on the mound. But let's hear what Dan thinks about the Mets' limping chances as they sadly got into the playoffs and somehow lost that division, which I'll give Joe D'Amico. I probably owe him a steak because he said they were going to collapse, and I said, nah, this isn't the year they collapse. And I mean, they made the playoffs. I don't know if the bet was fully playoffs or not, but they definitely choked the division away. Dan, what do you think is going to happen as they still get to host the playoff series?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything, a lot of what Kevin said, but I guess I'm looking at this a little bit with these pitchers a little bit different. I'm looking at it more on how they've actually pitched in the playoffs. I mean, he's just 7-6, but he's 3.22 ERA. He's got 160 strikeouts in his postseason career, which is 6th all time. And this season at home, he's got a 1.67 ERA, and he's allowed a 200 batting average. And you look at Darvish, yeah, he's had a great year. He's had a lot of great years in the past, but he's not, for whatever reason, he's just not good in the playoffs. He's 2-5 with a 5.18 ERA. He seems to struggle. And as Kevin said about him tipping pitches, I think that's when the whole broke the whole Astros cheating scandal. I think that kind of started in that game against Darvish. So I'm looking at this one actually, and the thing about Scherzer is you got to love the fact that he doesn't back down from anybody. He goes and challenges everybody. But that's usually what gets him in trouble. He'll give up a solo home run or a 2-run homer here or there. It never, or at least when I bet on him, it never seems to fail. He'll give up, a home run here or there. And I just look at Darvish's postseason collapses. So I like this low number at 6, and I think you're going to see a couple more runs than you expect. So I like the over 6 in this one.
All right, that's why you guys tune in. Both our guests they don't come to agreement on the side completely, but they absolutely disagree on that total. I have a play out on this as well, as many of you know. So we will leave it at that. I don't know if there's anything else. If you guys want to, we will obviously discuss with our best bets what else we have going on, because we're one day from another big football weekend. Bunch of football tonight as well, going up against the Mets Padres game. But you guys have any thoughts on the series for either the Guardians Rays series or the the Phillies Cardinals series right now? Like Kevin gave us a thought that if they can't get some runs for Wheeler, then they're dead in the water. But Dan, what do you think? You think did it pretty much go to form with how you picked the Guardians?
Yeah, well, I just thought they had a huge advantage today with Bieber on the mound. The thing is, I would like to say Tampa Bay at least wins one game in this series, but they just can't hit. So it's hard for me to like go against them go against Cleveland right now. And again, I agree with Kevin. If Wheeler, I mean, they've got Wheeler and Nola going back to back, but yeah, they need. I think I'm with Kevin. They need to win this one today.
Yeah, definitely. Well, and you brought up Bieber. Who doesn't? It's hard not to back Bieber. Metrically and analytically, McKenzie's almost been twice as good. That is not good for that top 3 in the order that went 0 for 12 today on the Rays lineup. Any thoughts for you, Kevin? Do you have a series outlook on your boys?
Well, my thing with the Mets though is that I think they're not even Carrasco. They're not even having him in the wild card. Like he's not even a pitcher.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even post him. So you're telling me DeGrom might not even play? They haven't listed him yet to go.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know if Dan has.
I heard it depends on. I read something. It depends on today. If Scherzer,
so they win today, then they'll throw tomorrow because
they'll throw back. They'll throw Bassett tomorrow.
They'll go okay.
And if they lose today, then they'll go to DeGrom tomorrow. Is what I've read. But they haven't. That's what I've read. That's what they've talked about. But yeah, obviously it's not written down in paper.
That's why it's hard to put out predictions because you don't know. You just don't know.
And even further, that's hard to be in the Mets dugout, knowing how important this is. That you're either settling for Chris Bassett, who in his own right has been a Cy Young contender for the last 2 seasons. What kind of psyche does that put on him for knowing he goes out there if they win? But all right, so that pretty much wraps what these 2 games were. So we'll move on to our best bets and what else you have going on with football, as well as both have mentioned some premium plays for baseball. If you have any other premium plays, let's start with you, Kevin. And what do you have going on tonight and this weekend?
First, I'm going to smash this damn TV real soon. I'm sick. I've been through Sling, Hulu, and now I'm at Peacock, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Where's the game?
Someone please message me now. But yeah, tonight I have my AAC game of the month on game locked on over at SportsMemo. That's a huge game. Memphis against Houston. It's going to be a great game to watch if I can get it. I might not even be able to get that. I don't know what's going on down here, but huge game. The Phillies, the series, that's a huge one for me. I had a play on that. I have a play on the Toronto game that you can still get tonight. I haven't locked in any football yet. I've been actually just starting to look at all the college football going tomorrow. I do have some likes in NFL, which I'll have posted up there. But, right now it's college football, AAC game of the month. My best bet is going to that Blue Jays game. Like I said, that lineup is one of the hardest to pitch to. I mean, any AL East team except the Rays is probably super hard. I mean, they have 3 teams in the wild card or 3 teams in the playoffs. that tells you enough right there. They're just a tough team. So if you look at their lineup, they're going to have Springer going leading off. Then we're going to have Brichette. Then we're going to have Guerrero, and then Kirk. Kirk is who I'm looking at. If he hits an RBI, we're going to get plus 225 on the RBI. Guy's already got 65 RBIs this season. Yeah, who do you pitch to? That's the thing. I'm a big believer. Bouchette, the guy the guy is a stud. And then you got Guerrero right after him. And don't ever forget about Springer. I mean, this guy's clutching playoffs. So there's 3 guys ahead of him. One of them gets walked. All he has to do is knock him in. And Kirk's been hitting the ball very well lately. So for the value, 225, you know, put $100 on that, you're going to make out pretty good. So that's my best bet. Make sure to check out that AAC game of the month tonight. And I'll have my games posted for Friday, probably by midnight tonight. So you can check those all out for college football action.
Awesome. So you heard it here. Kevin has a big play tonight. He's also got baseball, and his football plays will be up soon. You get all access for the weekend. You'll get all of that. And he says, at an amazing deal, don't mess with this prop guy. He's taking Kirk to knock a run in here up against Luis Castillo. Now let's go over to Dan the Man Kaiser and see what he has going this weekend for football. I know he's definitely got a college football hammer or two on deck, as well as some baseball. So let's hear that and your best bet for tonight / the weekend.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, the week's been good for me. I've just been like a sniper and just trying to pick them off here and there. I was 3-1 in the NFL on Sunday. Hit the Monday night total. Hit the Wednesday night college game. Hit the Thursday night NFL total. Today was kind of my big day of the week. I had the Indians earlier. I've got the under in Philly. I've got 2 bets on the Toronto game coming up soon. And I didn't have it at SportsMemo because it was a different line, but I did like the under in the NHL game, which if you weren't familiar with it, did kick off. The NHL did kick off today in Prague. So that starts next week, next Tuesday. So there'll be a lot more stuff coming out. Because of everything happening today, I was a little bit behind on college football, but that'll be up tonight along with my NFL. For my best bet, kind of what we talked about in the earlier about the Padres Mets series. Like I said, Scherzer can get hit. DeGrom, since he's been back from injury, he just hasn't been like the over dominant self he's always been. This Padres team can hit. They got some guys that can put the ball out of the park, and both the Mets' 2 best pitchers have been known to give up some home runs here or there. I think the Padres can win this series, and at plus 155 to win the series, that's my best bet.
All right. So before this game starts off tonight, make sure you lock in a series bet. You'll probably get that'll be your best price, almost definitely. Each inning there's a bagel. That price will go down on the series bet for the Padres. So you heard it here that he's got football coming. So we all 3 are working on our football cards. Yep. I promise they will be up sometime later today, and we will make sure we put out some winners. And it looks like Dan is already ready to attack the NFL after crushing you this week. So the last play of the day is my best bet, and I'm looking back to that same game. I'm going after Mad Max. Dan brought up a lot of the points that he's kind of a playoff stud. Interesting watching the Guardians-Rays game today because it was a Shane matchup of Bieber and McClanahan, a couple of Cy Young guys. McClanahan probably would win this if Verlander wasn't ageless, and Bieber has won it in the past, and both guys really performed. And then they said, it's funny, John Shambi said on the broadcast, last year in the playoffs, no game featured a situation where both starters pitched through the 7th inning. And it happened today in the first game. And I don't know what Quintana's looking like, but Wheeler is mowing them down. And so it just makes you wonder what's changing this season. We don't have to get anywhere near 21 outs. We just need 18 outs. It's juiced to the under. I guess I'm at a loss if Buck has some other thing up his sleeve. Kevin brought it up with the Cardinals. I don't know of any situation where Max has another starter waiting in the wings. I think he'd have to give up 4 full runs to be yanked before he finishes 6 innings. And I mean, that is possible. Dan brought it up. He'll take anybody on. He doesn't care if Cronenworth's on base. He's going to pitch it to Juan Soto and, Manny Machado. It is dangerous. But I think this is a pretty low-hanging fruit here. Max Scherzer has dominated down the stretch, even better than his playoff form. He's super, aggressive and just, that's why they call him Mad Max. He's going to be nose to the grindstone. He's going to be ready. No one studies more than him. No one is more ready than him. And I just think, I think Darvish probably does a pretty decent job as well. But this feels like a low-scoring game through the first 5 innings, and he just has to get through that next inning. So I know maybe we'll be nervous in 5 2/3 if he walks somebody or something like that. But I think this is the guy that goes into the 7th inning, that comes back out to the 7th inning, and we've already cashed pretty easily. So let's hope that that's the case here. And that is it for this show. So everybody get out of here, root on the Phillies, right? Because no one likes the Cardinals. Sorry. And don't forget to check us out at SportsMemo and follow us on Twitter. Always stuff going on. And look for all 3 of our plays and package this weekend for football, both Saturday and Sunday, college and NFL. Thanks so much to my guests, Dan and Kevin. And I can't wait for this weekend. You guys all have a good weekend and good luck with your bets.
Thank you. You too.
Same to you.